Hey, what's up, guys? Mike here at Practical Training Professionals. Got my buddy over here.
Ryan Gass.
Ryan Gass, that's right. So I know all of you guys, everybody's paying attention to what's going on with the Alec Baldwin situation right now.
Who?
Alec Baldwin, the guy that killed the guy.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Negligent discharge in the set of Rust. So he just released this 3-part series with ABC News, all right? And Ryan texted me this morning. He sent me a video, and he's like, hey, watch this. I was like, all right. I started watching. He's like, hey, called me up. He said, hey, meet me at the range. He's like, I think he's lying, right, to people. So we loaded up. We headed out to the range, and we had this really cool idea for presenting this to you in this way, all right? So stay tuned. So I'm going to bounce you guys over here to this camera real quick. And now I'm going to play a little bit of what Alec Baldwin has to say first, and then, don't pay attention to what's going on over here on the right yet. That'll come into play here in a second, so pay attention, guys.
And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
Right, so he lets go of the hammer and the gun goes off. Let me play that for you guys one more time here. What he's talking about is there's a set, kind of like the set coordinator, right? And she's trying to get the frames just right so that they could, roll the next scene. And Alec Baldwin has a firearm, and essentially he ends up pointing it directly at her and kills her, all right? But this is his dialogue trying to explain exactly what happened that day. So let's get back over to that, guys, and show you what's up.
In the film at all. But we kept doing this, and so then I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
Right. Let's go with the gun. Let's go with the hammer and the gun goes off. So let me show you guys what that looks like in real time, because we actually recorded that today. So bear with me. I'm going to do some fancy double clicking here. Click that. Click this.
See that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
At the moment.
So you see, now I'm going to show you guys real quick. So we actually filmed this twice. I know Ryan's got a lot of stuff to say right here. I keep shutting him down on accident here. So just bear with me. Let me get through this first. So the thing that you'll notice now that's a little different between the video we just showed you and this video is Ryan's finger is clearly out of the trigger. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me just run this tape the same way and then make sure that you guys are seeing what we're seeing. All right, so what's happening now in the video on the right is what Alec Baldwin claimed he was doing. So let's start that.
I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
See that? The gun didn't go off, guys. The gun didn't go off, and there's a reason for that. Now, on single action firearms, the trigger only does one thing, and that is release the hammer. It is not a cocking trigger like you would have on a double action revolver. Should use that term because we're talking about that firearm. But Ryan's hypothesis, so go ahead and share with us. What do you think happened?
So what I think happened, right, and obviously it's a little bit different from what he claimed, all right, not much, is when he grabbed a hold of the firearm, all right, his finger's on the trigger. His finger's holding the trigger. When he was cocking the hammer, cock, 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 cock. And when he let go of the trigger, guess what? When he let go of the hammer, because he had the trigger held to the rear, guess what? The hammer fell all the way forward and it went off. That's what I think really happened. And it's not really too much different from what he said because words matter. That and he may not have recalled. He definitely, he may not, in that situation, he may not have actually pulled the trigger. He may not have cocked the hammer back and made the deliberate action or decision to pull the trigger. Right. But that's because his finger's already on the trigger and held it to the rear. And then while, he's cocking the hammer back, pulled it all the way back and let go, then it goes off. Both things can happen. What I'm saying happened could have happened, and based on what he's recalling and how he's saying it, is not exactly a lie per se.
Right. Now, guys, I'm going to run this for you one more time. So we bounce you guys back over here to the full screen. Double take this.
See that? And she said yes. So I
this
take
time
the
the
gun
finger's
and
on
I
the
start
trigger.
to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cocked
Notice
the gun.
how the finger's on the trigger.
Can you see that?
Hold it to the rear.
And she says, and then I let go of the handle of the gun and the gun goes off.
Because the finger is on the trigger the entire time.
So right here we go from a different angle. Fingers on the trigger the entire time. So what you're not hearing here is that there are distinct clicks in the trigger that if you're familiar with the single action, you'll feel those. See, you never noticed the trigger squeeze. The trigger was squeezed the entire time.
It was held. Yep.
It was held. Exactly. He's walking through. Let's walk through it another time here.
And you would, some might say, well, you know, how is he not lying then? Well, he may not have recalled exactly leaving his finger on the trigger. He may not have realized what he was doing at the moment. As stupid as it might sound, people do that all the time. Much like, and this never happened in my class, but this happened in life where somebody's drawing, they shooting, and then they go to reholster. They maintain their finger on the trigger the entire time. And then when they reholster, the gun goes off because the trigger, the holster applies backwards pressure on that trigger finger, which is on the trigger. So people do shit all the time and not really realize what they're doing or don't recall doing it.
One thing that I notice a lot out there in training and on the range is when your mag runs dry.
Yeah.
Right. So so they'll be like boom, 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 boom. Mag runs dry. Magazine's empty. Slide it locks to the rear, and they turn the firearm over here, but they never raise their finger and put it up on the slide.
Right.
I see that too. So, as you mentioned, this guy's probably been training a lot his entire, or not training, but let's say acting, and with his finger on the trigger. I mean, like kids do that.
Yep.
You know, it's people who aren't smart with firearms. That's how they behave with a firearm.
Yep, exactly.
So, anyways, guys, we wanted to show you that. That's kind of our take on it. We'd love it if you drop down the comments and let us know. Do you think that that's a likely mistake? There's so much more to this. In fact, there's another video that's coming out, guys. Make sure you're subscribed. Alec Baldwin did 3 videos. Each one of them is about first one's 10, 15 minutes long. There's a bunch of content out there. Ryan and I went through here and broke it down. There's really 3 distinct parts that we noticed. We go over the 4 fundamentals of firearm safety. And in which Alec Baldwin broke all 4 of them. Then he starts playing the blame game. He says, oh, this is just how we do things in the industry. Well, that's not really true. We get into that. In fact, George Clooney agrees with us. And then when that doesn't work, he starts blaming the budget. So we just didn't have any money for safety. So all of those things really stack up to this very, very, and again, it's a very tragic situation, guys.
It is.
We're not trying to, get popular because of this. What we're saying is this all could have been prevented.
This is a learning moment.
It's a teachable moment.
This is a teachable moment that not only be used in this video for teaching people, but this will be something I bring up in my classes, and that's something we bring up. We actually bring up in my classes, and when we bring up in the classes, we actually bring up in the other video you're going to see. So again, if you haven't done this already, go ahead and check for that video. Also, comment below. 1, comment below what you think happened. 2, also, if there's any updates throughout the entire process, because we're relatively in the early stages of this. Yeah. They haven't yet released a lot of information about it. One thing I'm looking forward to see what they say is, because in the investigation, they're going to figure out, and they're going to look, and they're going to test that firearm for functionality. And they're going to see, is there anything actually wrong with that firearm? Because that could play a part as well, too. So if you guys find any new information like that that is pertinent to this and that we might want to know, drop that in the comments below, too.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. That video is coming out very soon. Share this with a friend, right? Have them watch the video that we posted here and again, come over to Facebook because we're going to post just the firing videos over there. Make sure you subscribe on social media if you do that kind of thing. It's at PTPGun.com, at PTPGun on all social media. And then our website is PTPGun.com. You can find all of this stuff and more over there, guys. So, for me, as always, train, defend, prevail.
Stay strapped or get clapped.
All right, guys. Bam.